GT Countdown. Top 10 Worst Endings.
This is where I get off.
What's that?
It's beautiful.
I don't believe you.
Endings can stink for a lot of reasons. The NES and arcade were full of laughable conclusions that made us first question the hours and hours required to earn just a single screen of text. Some stories didn't end up the way we wanted or expected, and others cut themselves off so quickly we didn't have a chance to savor the fruits of our labors. Many endings have disappointed, but these are the 10 curtain calls that truly deserve an airborne tomato or two. They taught us that the end doesn't always justify the means, and that the journey is sometimes what's most important.
Release me from this torment.
Number 10. Sniper Ghost Warrior.
Plans like these are too valuable to risk them ending up in the wrong hands.
While headshots are often their own reward, imagine mucking through 17 tedious missions of pure mediocrity. At last, your final target, the vile General Vasquez, is in your long sights. You line up the shot, squeeze the trigger, and let the exit wound do the rest. Your handler tells you to get out as the screen quickly fades to black as the words, "The End," sans serif fill the screen. No fanfare, no music, not even a cake. This eruption of abruption makes 8-bit game endings seem like extended epilogues, and its brevity kickstarts the horrible harbored in this list.
No time for details now.
Number 9. Far Cry 2.
I'll be dead in an hour, and so will you.
When you reach the finale of Far Cry 2, your driving goal is to kill the man known as the Jackal and put an end to a civil war that has been thrown out the window. Forced to team up with your former enemy, you must take on one of two jobs in order to assist a mass exodus of refugees. Either blow yourself up with dynamite to block a mountain pass, or bribe border guards and shoot yourself in the head. The Jackal promises he'll take care of the other option. After you've sacrificed yourself, a few sentences of text let you know all the terrible things you've done over the course of the game were completely justified. You've simply been filling in the blanks while the game tells you a story, and death is your big reward.
So which one are you taking? Diamonds or dynamite? It's up to you.
Number 8. Rainbow Six Vegas.
Open and clear.
A lot of games like to tease to an upcoming sequel, but Rainbow Six Vegas just drops the story off the side of the Hoover Dam. After saving Vegas from a micro-pulse missile and confronting a traitor, you reunite with the rest of your battered team where you're spoon-fed the ending through voiceover as you watch your squad mates stare into space.
Stupid.
Our hero professes that it's not over by a long shot, but the text, "To be continued," begs to differ. Soldiers wouldn't suit up for the conclusion for another year and a half.
Doesn't make sense.
Number 7. Dark Souls.
This is your fate.
Dark Souls provides plenty of rewards to those who endure its grueling challenges, but few of even its most ardent admirers will count its ending among these. After defeating Lord Gwyn, you're given a choice to either ignite the bonfire that'll perpetuate the current age, or forsake it and usher in the so-called dark. It's all set up in a deliciously ambiguous way, and unless you've researched it ahead of time, you'll probably fail to realize that there's even a choice to make. Regardless of which you choose, the result is a brief, underwhelming cutscene. After struggling through one of the most difficult games in recent memory, the reward does not fit the commitment.
Number 6. Borderlands.
Sergeant, get your team ready to go inside.
Gearbox's popular looter-shooter teased players as early as the opening cutscene to the legendary Vault, a prize that lures vault hunters across the galaxy to the planet of Pandora. Learning that the vault opens once every 200 years and the reopening is narrowly approaching, Borderlands quickly becomes a race to the finish line against other villainous vault hunters. When the anticlimactic finale at the vault's entrance yielded only a boss fight and its immediate resealing for another 200 years, the urge to break something was almost too strong to resist. The fact that we never even got a peek inside the vault rubs salt in the wound.
You did well, and your actions haven't gone unrewarded.
Number 5. Mass Effect 3.
If you want me to put my ass on the line, I need answers.
It's hard to imagine the intergalactic travails of Commander Shepard as anything less than stellar, but a major internet controversy blew that into another galaxy. And what may be one of the most controversial wrap-ups on this list, Mass Effect 3 brought the adventures of millions of players to a close with a veritable deus machina, a childlike AI emerging from the wreckage of the Citadel, presenting you with the three-way ending of your choosing. The outcry that followed was a bit overzealous, but also justified. Years of heartbreaking decisions and emotional investment had vaporized in an instant, and the transparent plug for DLC at the end only added insult to injury. BioWare conceded and released a patch attempting to ameliorate the situation, but the damage had already been done.
Get angry.
Number 4. Fable 1 and 2.
Oh, I thought he'd never shut up.
Sir Molyneux prided himself on creating endings for the first and second fables that presented you with a tough decision. The idea was sound, but the execution was sorely lacking. Some felt the first game reached its conclusion much too quickly, and the second wrapped up its quest against evil with something more reminiscent of a boss encounter instead of a boss fight. For games that focused so heavily on player choice, none of the endings relied on previous decisions to provide a satisfying outcome. Your godly or demon-like forms were much more concrete evidence of your actions than the final chapters in either of these bedtime stories.
Shame about all the rotten stuff.
Number 3. Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty.
Try this instead.
If Raiden's juvenile demeanor and incessant chatter about trivial things didn't drive you bonkers, then the drivel that Kojima and company call an ending was certainly the nail in the coffin. The ridiculous diatribe about the dangers of the digital age was borderline conspiracy theory porn, and a clear sign that the Metal Gear franchise had begun to take itself far too seriously. The resolution provided no sense of closure, and any of the loose ends wrapped up felt forced and too convenient. Fortune couldn't die because Ocelot gave her a magic device. The Big Shell incident was really a training simulation to recreate Solid Snake. The Patriots apparently had complete control of it all, blah blah blah. Kojima threw logic out the window, resulting in a lazy, haphazard ending for a series that tries to pride itself on prose.
It doesn't matter if they were real or not. That's never the point.
Number 2. Knights of the Old Republic 2.
We will be mercifully free from the opinions of imbeciles and fools.
BioWare was under an empirical time crunch while assembling the sequel to its immensely popular RPG Knights of the Old Republic, and the ending ended up being a casualty. Not only could players sense the dark side villain from light years away, the unceremonious boss fight that followed was cut comically short. The player was rushed out of harm's way and into the credits with only echoes left of what had happened to the playable character and members of the crew. It was horribly rushed, and along with various glitches, ruined what could have been an amazing sequel.
And in the end, you may find you have nothing left to sacrifice.
Number 1. Ghosts and Goblins.
We tried to stay away from including too many 8 and 16-bit games on this list because the technology of the time really dictated what was possible from a storytelling perspective. But Ghosts and Goblins' ending wasn't a matter of technical limitations. It was a design choice, and one of the worst decisions we've seen. First of all, this is one of the most brutally difficult and punishing games to ever be released. Even when compared to its often stifling contemporaries, this game is tough to stick with. So what do you get after spending days of arduous playing? A horribly misspelled congratulatory sentence, and a swift boot to the rear sending you back to start the entire game over again. It's awful in both its intent and execution, making it the worst video game ending of all time. See this and other GT shows and game reviews on the GT Originals iOS app, available now on the App Store.